The specs on this wine cooler are almost exactly right. Compressor cooling, R600A refrigerant, double layer UV glass, 41 to 64 degrees Fahrenheit. The only problem is the brand behind them. This is the Icyglee 25 bottle wine cooler, freestanding, compressor based, double paned glass door. Available right now on Amazon for somewhere between $130 and $160 depending on the day. Icyglee is not a name that carries history. There's no decades-long reputation, no word of mouth from enthusiasts who've trusted this brand across multiple purchases. What there is a product that on paper and in testing performs better than the obscurity of the name suggests. 3 weeks in, the honest question isn't whether it works, it's whether you should trust it to keep working. At 31.3 inches tall, 17.5 wide, and 18.9 deep, the Icyglee occupies a different form factor than most units in this price category. It's taller and narrower, which means it fits comfortably in a gap between counters or beside a bar fridge without demanding counter real estate. That vertical footprint is a genuine placement advantage if space is a constraint. The exterior is matte black with a stainless trim frame around the glass door. The door itself is double pane thermopane glass and not a single sheet, not a plastic rimmed approximation. The thermal insulation it provides is real, and it shapes everything about how this unit performs under load. The interior shelving is wire rack, horizontally oriented, and adjustable. The rails are firm, shelves pull cleanly in and out. Standard Bordeaux bottles load without friction. Wider shoulder bottles require shelf adjustment, the same caveat that applies to virtually every unit at this price. The leveling feet at the base deserve attention. The unit is tall enough that any lean on an uneven floor creates a door seal problem. 2 minutes with the feet at setup prevents a week of compressor overwork. On a taller unit, the geometry is less forgiving than on a countertop cooler. The double-layer thermopane door is the most defensible differentiator here, and it's worth understanding why it matters more than most buyers consider. A single-pane glass door is a thermal bridge. Every time ambient room temperature rises, heat transfers directly through that glass into the cabinet. The compressor compensates, which means more cycling, more energy consumption, and more long-term wear. In a warm kitchen, the effect compounds across hours. Double pane glass creates an insulating air gap between layers. Heat transfer slows, the compressor cycles less. Temperature recovery after a door open event is faster because the cabinet isn't bleeding cold through the glass surface itself. We tracked internal temperature across 6 hours of active kitchen use, cooking, foot traffic, ambient temperature pushing towards 78 GAF. The Icyglee held within 2 degrees of set point throughout. That is not a trivial result for a unit at this price. The glass also incorporates a UV blocking film on the inner pane. For wine stored in any position near a window or under kitchen lighting, UV exposure over months degrades color, aroma, and flavor in ways that are subtle but cumulative. The protection here is real, not decorative. But the better the build feels, the more the warranty becomes the conversation. The compressor in this unit runs R600A refrigerant isobutane rather than the R134A found in budget tier coolers. R600A runs more efficiently, produces less residual heat during operation, and supports tighter temperature precision. It's increasingly standard in mid-tier units because the performance difference at low ambient temperatures is measurable. The claimed stability is +1 degree. In a controlled ambient environment, our sensor data supported that. In a warmer room, variance widened slightly, as it does with any compressor, but stayed within 2 degrees across the test period. For wine storage, 2 degrees of drift is acceptable. 5 is not. The temperature range of 41 degrees to 64 degrees is one of the broader spans in this price category. 41 degrees reaches sparkling wine and white serving temperatures without compromise. 64 accommodates fuller body reds, being aged rather than simply staged. For a single zone unit, that range is functional rather than just a marketing number. Noise landed consistently around 36 to 38 decibels during active cooling. For context, that's quieter than a standard kitchen refrigerator and comparable to the Antarctic Star unit we tested in this same category. In a kitchen environment, it disappears. In a quiet room, it's present but not disruptive. The compressor cycles smoothly, no stutter, no rattle on startup. On our test unit, the startup sound was a clean mechanical engagement, not the clunk and wheeze that some units at this price deliver. Here is the central tension of this review. The Icyglee 25 bottle has a 12-month warranty, 1 year, on a product you're likely buying to store wine for 2, 3, 5 years. Compare that to Cuisinart's 3-year coverage on their 8-bottle unit, or Ivation's standard warranty terms on their 24-bottle compressor cooler. In a category where build consistency varies meaningfully between units, warranty length is not a minor footnote. Icyglee is a relatively new brand in this space. The review volume on this specific model is thin. That's not inherently damning, like every product starts with 0 reviews, but it does mean there is no long-term community of owners to draw signal from. No 3-year owners saying the compressor held. No 2-year owners flagging a seal failure pattern. The sample is small because the history is short. What we can say from 3 weeks of testing is that the unit we received performed consistently. Temperature held, the door seal remained firm, the compressor ran cleanly, but 3 weeks is not 3 years. For a buyer making a considered long-term purchase, bottles being aged, cellar rotation planned around this unit, that uncertainty carries weight. For a buyer who wants strong performance now and is comfortable with the warranty exposure, the product itself earns its price. Against the Antarctic Star 26 bottle, a direct size competitor at a similar price, the Icyglee has a meaningfully better glass door and a cleaner compressor. The Antarctic Star wins on brand exposure and a larger existing review base. The Icyglee wins on build precision, at least on the unit we tested. Against the U-Homie 45 bottle, the comparison is less about features and more about need. The U-Homie holds nearly double the bottles at a modest price increase. If your collection requires the capacity, that math is simple. If 25 bottles is the right number, the Icyglee's narrower footprint and superior glass door make it the more considered option. The Ivation 24-bottle compressor with lock, typically $50 to $80 more, adds a door lock, tighter build quality, and a more established warranty and support structure. For buyers where long-term confidence matters as much as upfront costs, the Ivation is the defensible choice. For buyers who want near-equivalent performance at a lower price and are willing to absorb the brand uncertainty risk, the Icyglee is where you land. By week 3, a handful of smaller details shape the overall picture. The temperature memory function works. After a simulated power interruption, the unit returned to the previous set point without manual input. For anyone who travels or experiences occasional outages, that's a meaningful feature rather than a specification artifact. The 360-degree air circulation keeps temperature consistent shelf to shelf. We tested top, middle, and bottom rack positions. Variance between positions was less than 1 degree. That's better than several units at this price, where the bottom rack runs warmer due to airflow dead zones near the compressor. The interior LED lighting is soft and warm-toned, UV safe. The kind of lighting that makes a display look curated rather than institutional. Whether the door faces a room or a wall, it earns a second look. One practical note, the unit requires 24 hours of upright standing before initial startup. That's a compressor oil settling requirement, not a quirk. It applies to any compressor unit shipped on its side. The manual is clear about it. Skipping it risks compressor damage that voids the already short warranty. Follow the instruction. Buy it if you want compressor-grade performance and double-pane glass protection at a price most established brands don't offer. The unit performs well. The cooling is genuine. The build quality on our test unit was better than the price implied. For a buyer stocking 20 to 25 bottles on active rotation, drinking within 1 to 2 years, not aging for a decade, the Icyglee does the job with more precision than most alternatives at this price. Think carefully if you're making a long-term storage decision. The 12-month warranty on a product you'll rely on for years is a real exposure. Pair it with a credit card that extends manufacturer warranties and that gap narrows. Ignore it entirely, and you're accepting a risk that more established brands have already priced away. Skip it if brand certainty matters to you. If you need to know that a company has stood behind this product for years across thousands of owners, Icyglee cannot offer that yet. Cuisinart can, Ivation can. The difference is not in the specs. It's in what happens after month 13. The Icyglee 25 bottle is a product that does the hard things right and leaves the soft things, reputation, track record, warranty depth, as open questions. Whether that trade is worth it depends entirely on how long you're planning to need the answers.